Hi guys! So I meant to film this actually before 2013 ended, and I kind of got busy and just didn't, so you're getting it a couple days late, but this is my top 5 books of 2013, starting with Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore, and I just love this edition. There were 2 trade paperback editions when I was at Chapters picking this up actually this week, and one of them was like dark antique books, and it was very, it was a lovely edition, but this one I just think is far superior. It's a little bit bigger. The typeface on the front is fantastic. It has the deckled edges, and what I love most about it is just the way that the pages are set up. It's just, it's a beautiful edition. If you're gonna get one, I would recommend this one. So this is about, I read this quite a while ago, so I'm just kind of reading the inside quickly. Clay Janin is a graphic designer, and he ends up losing his job because of the recession, and he works in the night shift at Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore, and it's kind of a bit of a mystery, a little bit fantastical, but not fantasy. It deals with Google. It deals with a lot of issues that I think are facing the book world right now, the move into the digital and all that, and it's just a fantastic read. I would highly recommend that. The next 2 books I'm going to talk about are actually ones I read in the last week and a half of 2013. The first one being John Connolly's The Book of Lost Things, which is the only book I received for Christmas. It was part of a Secret Santa swap through Tumblr for books. So this is the story of David, and it's set during World War II, and his mom passes away, which happens in the first chapter of the book. So it's not particularly a spoiler or anything, and his dad remarries and they have another son, and David's struggling to deal with all the changes, they moved out to the country, and his books are talking to him, and he keeps having these episodes where he faints, so they send him to a psychiatrist, and there's some great parts where the law books are really boring, and the doctor books are saying that the psychiatrist he's seeing is a total quack. And it's just really great. One of my favorite passages, which I have found, and it's at the very beginning of the book, but I'm just going to read it out because it just, this book is so good. The stories in books hate the stories contained in newspapers, David's mother would say. Newspaper stories were like newly caught fish, worthy of attention only for as long as they remained fresh, which was not very long at all. They were like the street urchins hawking the evening editions, all shouty and insistent, while stories, real stories, proper made-up stories, were like the stern but helpful librarians in a well-stocked library. Newspaper stories were insubstantial as smoke, as long-lived as mayflies. They did not take root, but were instead like weeds that crawled along the ground, stealing the sunlight from more deserving tales. David's father's mind was always occupied by shrill, competing voices, each one silenced as soon as he gave it his attention, only for its clamor to be instantly replaced by another. That was what David's mother would whisper to him with a smile, while his father scowled and bit his pipe, aware that they were talking about him, but unwilling to give him the pleasure of knowing that they were irritating him. So that's on page 10. So it's at the very beginning of the book, and just the way John Connolly writes, it's fantastic. I'm really looking forward to reading more from him. My next book order, I'm definitely having another one of his books in. So that I would highly, highly recommend. In case you haven't noticed, there's a little bit of a theme. I like books with books in them. So the next one is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. And I literally finished this 2 days before New Year's Eve. This one, I'm sure most people have heard, it's very popular. It's fantasy, historical fiction as well, because it's set during the 1800s, and it's about 2 magicians who have been entered against their will into a battle where basically the only outcome is one of them dies. And I'm not going to give anything away, but that's pretty much from the back. So it's quite well written. I really enjoyed this. The book is beautiful. I really want to track down a hardcover edition, but you've got things like this, and she uses these great little literary devices where, most of the time it's telling the story, but she also inserts you in the story. So for example, let me just find it, it's at the very beginning. In the first thing, she says anticipation, and she's just saying, she puts you in the story. She says, I'm just trying to find it. Sorry, I'm... She writes it so she's referring to you as the reader. I can't seem to find it. But she's saying, you know, you are of course in the audience as well, and you are seeing these things. And that's not, at first I was really put off by that because I thought that was how the whole story was going to be written, but it's just as little parts throughout the story that kind of tie you into the story, which I think is really neat. I don't think I would want to read an entire book like that, but it's really neat that she does insert you into the story. So that one I would highly recommend. The other two I have are Kindle editions, so I don't actually have the physical copy of the book. The first one being Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, which is also a book about books, and mostly the burning of books. It's a dystopian fiction, if you don't know what it's about, but basically books are banned and the firefighters burn books, and the reason why it's Fahrenheit 451 is Ray Bradbury decided that that's the temperature at which books read. So it's about a society that just amuses itself to death, and it's vaguely prophetic. Sorry. Given our current obsession with Facebook and Twitter and all the social media, it's eerie, and it was just, it was so good. I read that in the summer. And the other one is John Green's Looking for Alaska. Now, that is one of my favorite John Green books. I really like The Fault in Our Stars, but I think Looking for Alaska is my favorite. One of my favorite quotes is, "I'm going in search of the great perhaps," which is by a French philosopher, but it's quoted in the book, and it's just, it's a great work. One of my favorites. So yeah, so that's that. A couple of runners up would definitely be, if you're looking for a couple more, are Stephanie Perkins' Lola and the Boy Next Door, and Anna and the French Kiss, which I also read this year, if you're looking kind of along the John Green line. But yeah, so those are my top 5 books for 2013, and I will see you guys soon. Bye!